How great to have you back here. Thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you.
One question's occurred to me before we start chatting just casually here. Watching that clip, I thought, do you ever feel, when you're close to animals and you film that and they're procreating, the joy of sexual union taking place, the necessity of sexual union, do you ever feel a little bit embarrassed?
I don't think I do. I sometimes feel inadequate. Because that goes on a long time, you know.
How long do the tortoises keep it up for?
Hours.
Hours. Do you bring a book or Sudoku or something?
And they groan all the time.
Yeah, no, that's the thing I noticed, is that, and I think we could learn from them, because we've all, and I won't ask your opinion on this, but we've all pondered over what noise one should make during the act. We've all tried the, oh yeah, the, that's great, the, that's a surprise, but the tortoise settles for the simple, oh! Yeah.
All the time.
All the time.
And I tell you, one of the tricky things is to be in a one-man tent up there on the top of the volcano, surrounded by randy tortoises.
Is there the outside chance they might mistake your tent for a female? And
well, when you hear, oh, and it comes at you from the back of the tent, it gets over the guy ropes, the tent goes over, and it's not good, I tell you.
But I imagine you've got about 45 minutes to get away, because they're not the fastest moving animals. Oh, I mean, you've got to want to be caught, haven't you, by a tortoise? How nice to see you back on TV. How great to see you back. There's a brand new series Sir David Attenborough has got. It's called Life in Cold Blood.
Yes.
And it starts, I think it's the 4th of February that it starts. That's it. Tell us about the topic this time, because I would have thought you'd covered just about everything already.
Well, we haven't covered amphibians and reptiles, see? And they are very important. They were on land before any other backboned animal were, the amphibians and reptiles, and they had the problem of living out of water, which was quite tricky, because raising your young, like tadpoles need water. So how, if you're going to move onto land, you're going to provide them with water? Well, you can't go back to the pond, that's true. But there's other frogs who've got the most extraordinary arrangements to do it. There's one who's got hip pockets. The male has hip pockets on either side. And when the eggs hatch, he produces a lather with his feet, and then the little tadpoles squirm up his side and go into his hip pocket.
Wow, so he carries them around?
And he carries them around. Then there's another one which actually eats its tadpoles. The males, they see these eggs hatch, and you see watching them, and then they go like that, and they take the tadpole into their mouth, and it goes round into the sac which they use for their voice throat, you know, speaking with their mouth full.
So they carry them around?
And they keep them there for many days while they develop into little frogs, and then they go, and the little frog hops up.
I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but that sounds disgusting. And although I'm delighted you found out these things, could you not show a bit of self-control and keep something back? But is that why you took so long getting to these animals? Because people are a little squeamish and the... Well,
I suppose it isn't everybody who says, whoopee, there's a terrific show about snakes, you know.
yeah, there's
but
that...
actually, it will be a terrific show on snakes, and one of the great advantages that people haven't seen all that much about snakes, so there are a lot of new stories to be told about snakes.
Well, I don't know that much about many of the animals that I know are coming up in this series. I mean, and I'm a fan. I like reptiles. We have a snake at home.
Do you?
We have a royal python.
The royal python's particularly nice, isn't it? They call it a ball snake, where he winds himself into a
really
little ball.
Thing. And we had an iguana. Unfortunately, that died before Christmas, so we don't have that anymore. Yeah, Dave the iguana.
Was it any good with the mint sauce?
Well, we didn't eat it, but it turned out Dave was a female.
Oh.
Because they're very hard to sex. They're very hard to work out what they are. It's just some sort of little hole, and it's just close to another little hole, and that's...
I'm glad you've got the technical jargon.
Why am I sitting next to Sir David Attenborough and telling him about... And another animal I've seen is a dog. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're great companions. I'm thinking of doing a show on them.
Yeah.
So which of the reptiles or the amphibians you met that impressed you the most or left the biggest impression upon you?
Well, I'm particularly fond of chameleons. Chameleons are great things, you know. They're slow-moving, but they have these wonderful different costumes. They change colour, and you can, when you get to know them, or they get to know you, you can take them around the garden, if it's in relatively warm climate where you are, on your arm, and you can sort of point him at a fly. And hold it like that, and you go...
Wow,
Yeah.
eat the fly.
And eats the fly by sticking his tongue out, as long as his body, that long.
Wow, it's incredible.
Yeah.
So that was in the studio, of course, there. You did them back then. So you were looking for the smallest reptile. You didn't find it back then, but I believe for this series...
We found it this time.
Wow, incredible. And where did you find it?
In Madagascar, but we got one of the local people, one of the really good naturalists, who knew, you know, everything. And when we find them, I mean, they really are a knockout.
Well, we have a picture there. Look at the size of that.
Yeah, well, there he is, you see? Not as big as my fingernail.
And is that a fully grown one? Or is
Yes, that's a fully grown little
Incredible.
male, stump-tailed pygmy chameleon.
I can sense your excitement. Obviously, you still engage with this subject in a way. It's still important to you and you still enjoy it. But I can sense your excitement that you went back and you found something you hadn't seen before.
Well, this is a fabuloso creature. Look, the size of your fingernail, and yet inside that, it's got a pair of eyes, it's got lungs, it's got a kidney, it's got a gut, it's got little hands, it's got a spine, it's got a brain. You know, that size of a blue bottle.
So lizards, little tiny, they have, you think, do they have it?
Yes,
They don't have emotion,
they have, I'm sure, some complicated courtship behaviours which I don't know about.
Well, this is what I love when I watch your shows. This is what because these days I think we all feel fairly... We're aware of animals. We've seen photographs, we've seen footage of them, but finding out about their rituals, finding out about their behavioural tics and differences. And I mean, I'm fascinated by the Panamanian golden frog. Is that one there?
Yeah, that's
And that's much nearer the camera than you, because it looks about the same size as you. But it's how big would it be?
It'll be about half an inch.
Half an inch, tiny. And they have an elaborate method of communication.
Well, they do. Yeah, they have a sweet behaviour. I mean, the male. A lot of frogs call their females, the males, by croaking, as we all know.
What up?
They do it again.
What's up? What's up?
Brilliant.
Budweiser. We've seen that.
Are you okay?
I've started. I'm not certain.
And but he lives. That little golden frog lives by a stream where there's a lot of noise. They're habitually by streams, so croaks aren't too good because of the noise of the sound. So they have, as in addition to croaking, they have a fabulous little signal. The male goes, "Hi, baby." You know, the last bit's a bit of an exaggeration, but he does that.
You know, I'm not a frog, but I found that nearly irresistible. It was the wink you gave me at the end. So they actually they signal with their hand, with their flipper or hand, what do you call that, paw?
Hand, a front leg. Anyway, they do
does
that.
the lady wave back, or...?
Well, yeah, she does, to be honest, she just sits there. It's
lazy cow.
Yeah. It's the other males who say, when they see that, they will sort of decide that they will actually, if they'll get out of the way and leave.
let him have access.
If I go back and they say, "You want to make something of it?" Then there can be a row.
Can I ask you a question which might sound silly, but whenever I watch you near a big animal, I always wonder this. Do you ever want to ride one of them? Do you ever, when you see them, do you ever think, no one's looking now, I could hop on its back and for just 100 feet, like a hippo or like one of the bigger lizards?
You won't believe this. Never occurred to me.
Why? What's wrong with you, man?
Because why do you want to hop onto animals for?
Look, I tried riding my pigs the other day because they look like they could take the weight. You see something that might be able to bear your weight, obviously you're going to want to try it, aren't you? Like one of those tortoises. You telling me you didn't go for a little ride on the big tortoise? Why not? I can't believe that.
I'm just unadventurous.
Yeah, I'll make a saddle for you, and next time you go out, okay, get some footage. It'll be a whole new world for you.
Could be.
Obviously, your love of animal is something which, you know, we don't question. I know that you've become more and more concerned, as everyone has, with climate change. And it wasn't something which seemed to bother you quite so much when it was first talked about as it does now.
Well, when it was first talked about, we couldn't be sure. In order to be sure about climate change, you've really got to observe it over a whole period of years so you can see which way the graph is going, as it were. So, though you may have had suspicions 20 years ago or 15 years ago, we didn't have the proof. And if you're on television, you don't want to go around spreading doom and gloom as rumours.
Unnecessarily.
You want to be sure. Yeah. And I didn't say anything about climate change until I was totally convinced, A, that it was happening, and B, that human beings are contributing to it.
And you are now convinced of
no
those
doubt
things?
about it.
You've studied just about every animal, haven't you, I think? No?
Well, no.
Which are the animals that you're least familiar with?
I tell you something more or less embarrassing. I'm a rotten bird watcher.
Really?
Yeah, I'm an absolutely rotten bird watcher. And when the BBC said, we want you to make a series on birds, I said, I know nothing about birds. And they said, that's why we want you to do it. So I'm not as bad as I was.
And did you enjoy that? Did you
oh, yeah.
appreciate
I mean,
birds
I
more
adore birds. But I mean, I have friends, and maybe you have, that you're sitting here having a normal conversation and something goes, tweet, and there's a flash. And they say, by golly, it's extraordinary to see the female of the northern form at this time of the year.
I find those kind of people the most irritating and annoying.
I can't do that. I can't do that.
I think half the time they're lying.
Can't tell, can you?
Now, we have some footage which...
oh, no.
No, well, of course. No, but this is you with a bird. I can't remember the name of the bird, but it's a kind of... it's a bird that can imitate sounds.
Oh, a lyrebird.
The lyrebird. This is incredible.
A lyre with L-Y-R-E, meaning a thing like a harp.
Like a harp thing.
Because its tail is like a harp.
Incredible. That's mind-boggling that they can do that.
Now, the marvellous thing about that is, you see, that the males each have their display patches where they sing, and the females go around assessing the songs. And there's good evidence to suggest that the better mimic they are, the greater variety of songs they can sing, the more attractive they are to a female.
But why would that be? So they can pass that down in their genes, do you think?
It's just that females like good singers.
That's remarkable. I would pay to see, never mind an impersonator, I'd pay to see someone.
Oh, the lyrebird is just the greatest.
Where do you find the lyrebird?
Australia.
Were you tempted? You must have been a bit tempted to slip one in your bag and bring it home.
They're quite big birds.
No, you get a big bag, you know, one with wheels.
I never thought of that.
Were you ever tempted? I know that's wrong to do these days. In the old days, I believe you did. You brought back various things as pets,
50 years ago, 60 years ago, I was actually collecting animals for the London Zoo. So I had all those things in my home.
Which was the biggest animal you brought back ever?
We brought back a bear, but it was a cub.
How do you get a bear onto a plane?
Well, a cub, a bear cub.
And then how? What, in a box, or you had it with you on the flight?
No, I had it in a little hold-all, actually, and fed it on milk.
Oh, a little bear in a bag. Yeah. Little Paddington.
Yeah.
Do you ever miss, let me ask you a question then, this once again might sound silly. Do you miss specific animals that you've met over the years? I don't mean the species, I mean like, you know, when we see footage of you with the gorillas or orangutans, do you miss the characters of certain individual animals?
Oh, yeah. I had, there was a woolly monkey, which I didn't actually catch, but I was asked to look after by the zoo. And William, his name was. And William, he and I had a great relationship, actually. And he was we had a big run in the garden. He would undo the lock. He got very clever. He used to go out and sit in the laburnum trees and go, ha, ha, ha. See, and the solution was for me to get my little daughter, who was then about 8 or 10 or something, and put her on my knee and say, oh, Susie, darling, you see. And William would think, and come down here and nestle in between.
Because he'd get jealous, or he wanted someone to laugh.
Yes, he would. He was jealous. Goodness. And there was a real relationship, actually. And when he eventually got so big he had to go back to the zoo, which is where he'd come on in the first place, I used to go in and he would spot me right from the other side of the monkey house and come over and go...
How lovely. You're not, I hope, considering giving this up, because I've heard rumours and people have been saying that you're thinking about retirement.
People keep telling me this. I mean, well, you know, I don't suppose I should start another 5-year series. But I will be doing other programmes. I'm working on another one now. The new series comes out, that's all finished, but then there's another one coming.
Which is the next subject? Can you tell us?
About evolution.
Ah, the big one. OK, well, I shall look forward to that. But in the meantime, I'm keen as much. I can't wait to see your new series, because I'm already a fan of reptiles and amphibians, but I'm sure other people hopefully will overcome their initial screaminess, because when you touch a snake, it's not what you expect at all, is it?
No, it's beautiful.
It's a lovely thing. How lovely to have you here. Long may you continue to make such fabulous shows for us. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir David Attenborough.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I'm afraid you're off now. Go and relax. Sir David Attenborough, ladies and gentlemen.